Hi, this is your host, Daniel Gutierrez, with Awakening to Abundance, effortless abundance in all areas of life. I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Jim Oliver. Jim is an Emmy Award-winning musician, sound studio designer, and consultant, innovative sound engineer, and charismatic performer. Jim has researched and discovered unique combinations of melodic notes and chord progressions that evoke the relaxation response, and he incorporates this into his compositions. Jim's relaxing music is a beautiful blend of art and science that really works. Dr. Bruce Limpton enjoys playing this music while writing and says he finds Jim's music to be so calming and intellectually stimulating. Jim is passionate about helping people heal and experience transformation through the power of sound. His music coaxes the human spirit into remembering how awesome it truly is. Listen to Jim's soothing music and instantly feel the nurturing and rejuvenating effects. Today you will discover how sound and music really work, how music can help balance and restore wellness to your body, mind, spirit, and emotions, why music has a healing effect and integrates cellular healing. Learn how music can help you attune to your true self and experience a unique musical energy transmission for abundance. Wow, I am so looking forward to this. Jim, thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the call.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for having me, and thank you to everyone listening. I really appreciate your sharing the time with us today.
Well, you know, Jim, as I was saying to you earlier, I absolutely am a believer that music has the properties of transformation, and I have been transformed many times by listening to music, and I've had a little bit of a chance to listen to some of yours, and it's incredible. So before we get going, I want to take a few minutes, step back, and could you share with us what you believe have been the major turning points that have allowed you to manifest your current level of success in what you're teaching?
Well, thank you, Daniel. It's really been my lifelong passion to create music that helps people. I started piano when I was 5 years old. My first recollection in life was experiencing this wonderful, sparkling, golden energy come through into me while I was listening to my uncle play piano and organ. I was about 3.5 years old at the time, and I knew so clearly, so profoundly that music was my path and my mission in life. And I started piano at 5, carried on through many, many years, through elementary school, junior high school, went to Julius Hart School of Music, Hart College of Music, Hartford Conservatory of Music, and all the while observed what a profound, absolutely deep, profound experience music was for people who would listen. And I thought, I really want to do something where music is the primary event rather than entertainment or background or accompanying, singing at church or whatever. And when I moved to Santa Fe in 1982, I connected with a fellow that naturopathic doctor, kinesiology, acupuncturist, and developed this concept that since everything is vibration in nature and in our physical, mental, emotional, spirit body, dis-ease, disharmony, distress, distortion can all be balanced and harmonized with sound, which is a pure vibration. So if someone does a kinesiology muscle test and a certain area is weak, a certain test is weak, there's actually a specific sound when played, the pitch of the note, which is the frequency, and the waveform, which is the instrument sound, that when that sound is played, that weak muscle test will actually then go strong, indicating that sound is restoring the energy flow to that system. And then I create a piece of music specifically based on that waveform and frequency information. So, maybe use flutes in the key of C, which are the sine waves, and maybe use strings in the key of D, which would be square and sawtooth waves. And we found that with just a piece of music and a person setting a very clear intent, people were having incredible experiences and moving into wellness using music as the primary modality. And I went, wow, this is really something. In fact, the fellow that I was working with, the first aha was he was having 2 or 3 root canals done.
Oh.
And he was extremely sensitive to, analgesic drugs, the pain medication, Novocaine, and whatever they use. It made him really sick. And I was just kind of thinking, well, in the old days, I used to ride a motorcycle and, an old 2-stroke Honda that, after you ride for an hour, your body is so vibrating that you can't even hold a glass of water in your hand. Your hands and arms go numb and your legs go numb. And I said, why don't we find what the specific sounds are that are tuned into those teeth you have to work with, and then look at some acupuncture points in the soles of the feet that pull energy, drain energy out, to ground and pull that pain energy out. And so, long story short, I created a piece of music that he went and had 3 root canals done with no anesthetic at all.
Wow.
He played the music, which had specific tones, and then evolved into music, and he had his root canals done without any anesthetic. And that was like, aha.
So that's when you kind of got into the healing music stuff.
Very much. I'd always observed, even as a kid, when I'd play piano, certain notes would make the teacups rattle, certain notes would make the window screens rattle, which is a demonstration of sympathetic vibration, which I now call harmonic resonance. But an object that's tuned to the same frequency as the note you're playing will start to vibrate in sympathetic vibration, in resonance with that. And I thought, well, this is a way that we can, particularly in the early days, I used mini Moog synthesizers where I can specifically pull up a sine wave, a square wave, a sawtooth wave. I can really isolate exactly what it is, what the waveform is, as well as the pitch. And so in our experimentation and our research, which over the years we did, well over 1,000 sessions with that symphonics process. And we found just wonderful turnarounds for people with a variety of things,
That's amazing. Now, how does it work? It fascinates me what you're saying about, that the shutters have a vibration. Obviously, if they're vibrating, because everything is energy, and
exactly.
The music finds the matching vibration or sympathetic. How does it work in terms of how it helps the body, mind, and spirit emotions?
Right. Very good. Everything is integrated. We're not just the body, just the mind, just the spirit, just the emotions. We're the whole package. And when we're not flowing the way we would like to, if there's some sort of a restriction, a belief system, some sort of programming, some sort of entanglement, some sort of maybe self-talk where you go, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of this, or whatever the self-talk or the programming is. Music is a wonderful way to help unravel all those entanglements. And because music resonates and vibrates with the cells of the body physically, it acts in a rejuvenating manner. And then chord progressions, major key, minor key, how the music progresses through those processes of working with specific frequencies and waveforms in symphonics, I learned and observed what chord progressions can. It's like a movie soundtrack, Is it right now you need to do something very sustained and contemplative? Or is now a time where you have things move? And when we listen to the music samples throughout the program today, you'll hear low bass notes. You're not going to hear it real good on the telephone or on the internet, but just know that on the recordings, they're extremely full frequency, very rich, full recordings. The low frequencies act like carrier waves. They're like alignment tones. They act like carrier waves for the high frequencies. I'll do piano arpeggios at the things like that really help move and loosen up areas. These are techniques I learned when I was doing music in the early days for massage, and I would go to the massage schools and watch people get massage. My wife's a massage therapist. We'd set up a table in the studio, and I would watch her do massage and play music while she did massage. And so that really got ingrained in my hands of watching the different massage techniques, light touch, deep touch, faster movement, effleurage, chopping, and I create music that really models that because it is like a sonic massage, and because of the music and the chord progressions, that's what gets the emotions involved. And you can go through musically, there's certain types of chords that are called suspended chords, the ones that are awaiting a resolution. So if you do a suspension and then a resolution, a suspension and a resolution, that energetically creates a pattern that when you play the suspended chord, people then go, oh, well, here's the problem, here's the issue. Then you play the resolution, and they create the resolution. So that kind of patterning really helps people to move through whatever it is they're working with. And then ultimately, towards the end, there's grounding and integration. And without the grounding and integration, we want to make it so that you can really utilize all of this in your daily life.
There's a lot of technology out there
Sure.
when it deals with music, and I want to make sure that the audience is very clear about what you're presenting to them and what it is. Your music, you're obviously matching vibrations of whatever you're learning or seeing, like the massage you were watching or chopping. I could see that action going on. Is that different from the actual technology that I've heard or seen that's called brain entrainment?
Well, with brain entrainment, they're using frequencies to set up, let's say you use 300 cycles in the left ear and 303 cycles in the right ear. That creates a 3 cycle per second differential. And so there's a lot of music that uses, or a lot of programs out there that have, alpha, beta, theta, delta,
right,
pulses, brain entrainment. And we do not use that approach. My feeling is that, when we cover a lot of ground with a piece of music that, in my feeling, organically allows people to find their own state of equilibrium. They'll move through the brainwave areas of theta, delta, alpha, beta, as is appropriate for them. And I'll also say that when you listen to my music, some of the samples you'll even hear of it, one of my favorite keyboards is a Memory Moog. It's an older analog keyboard, and one of the lovely things with analog is that it's like a pipe organ. You imagine a pipe organ that's got 10,000 pipes in it. It's impossible for them to all be perfectly in tune at the same time, just like a choir, a large chorus. If you've got, 100 voices singing the note C, there's no way that they're all perfectly singing that note. So it gives this chorusing sound where you'll feel the sound kind of like that. It'll pulse on its own organic way. And that, to me, really allows, again, the person to find their own equilibrium with it. And with the intentionality that I create when I do the music, I meditate deeply on whatever it is the title of the piece of music is, or whatever the focus or intent is, and ask for really what will support people to their highest purpose to be what comes through with the music. And then when people set their own intent when they listen to the music, that we find to be extremely powerful, extremely profound, and extremely self-empowering, because all of this evolves from the person's own involvement.
And I like that. And this is why I wanted you to give them kind of the difference between the two. And I love the idea that you're saying, hey, listen, you know what's good for you. I'm not going to manipulate your mind to be what someone else's was just because it worked for them. And I'm not putting down anybody's stuff. Everybody has stuff that works. But I love that, which is the reason why Bruce Lipton can listen to it while writing, because if you were listening to brain entrainment, that's not for writing. It's specifically designed to get you into a certain state, a certain vibrational level, where your music is still doing that, but it's doing it at your will, not at the will of someone else's technology.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, and I feel like, there's enough programming going on already. Every time you watch TV, the media is right there. And I'm trying to deprogram or offer a way for people to deprogram to really, who are you? What is your true self? Who is your true self? What is your divine essence? And help people to come into connection and contact and sacred marriage with their own divine essence.
I love it.
And everything will evolve from that self-empowered place rather than a program place. And again, as you say, I have nothing against it. There's wonderful technology.
Right. Yeah. It's
for us. We just choose
to
go another way. Yeah. We just choose to let people find their own way.
Well, listen. Let's hear a piece of it. You have a first piece you want to go with?
Let's play, and all of these samples you're going to hear are in the special offer that we have put together for you, so that way you get a little a sampler of it. This first piece is called Gazing Within, and this was done with my friend Kenji Kamara in the studio. And Kenji, I'm sure a lot of you know through his quantum light weaving. He is an amazing, wonderful, wonderful guy. He's the real deal. I just love Kenji. And he was in the studio when we did this piece of music. You'll feel the quantum energy, and you'll see how quickly, this clip is about 3 minutes long, you'll see how quickly your energies will drop into the music, and you'll feel your own divine essence coming through, resonating and vibrating. Find yourself a nice, quiet, comfortable place. Breathe in the music and really give yourself that wonderful gift of yourself.
Okay, folks, so here we are. Relax, just take a deep breath, and Gazing Within. Wow. What an incredible, I mean, I can't say enough about your music. I have listened to a lot of things, but I want to go back to something you said earlier about
Sure.
the music, and that is the just incredible deep bass sound in that piece that just is incredibly resonates with my heartbeat, I guess. It was just like a merge there, instantly merging with that sound of that bass that you provide in your music. Well, what a beautiful piece. What made you write this?
You know, I just love to play music. It's again what I came here to do, and I do a lot of improvisation. And when you truly let go of any preconceived ideas of what a piece of music should be and how it should sound and where it should go, and you truly flow, and I've been doing improvisation for 30 years, so my background is in classical, and that's where I learned that technique of the low bass. In classical organ, that's called pedal tone. And when you play that low bass note and then improvise in and around that key, you really engage the depth of your soul and the higher frequencies that stream through, bringing light and information. And you can really feel my love of music, and that also helps you to find your own deep, peaceful center, your core essence. And that was the focus, when Kenji came in and said, well, let's create a piece of music that has that quantum light energy in it, all for the intention of helping people on their self-discovery, self-rediscovery process. Because all of what we're talking about, you are already whole, total, perfect. And through the pressures of life and the busyness and the got to do this and got to go there, we become human doings rather than human beings. And all of this music that is in the package we put together is carefully thought out to offer you a variety of tools. These are more than just something to put on in the background while you go wash the car. These are tools, musical energy transmissions with a purpose and an intent to help people in their rediscovery process and their oneness.
I love it. I would love to watch you play. I bet that is something else. To watch you create. I almost get this mad musician with his hair sticking up and he's wah la la la.
It used to be.
Yeah.
Not quite like the Einstein hair.
Right,
but,
right. The mad musician. Jim, why is music so healing? What makes it work? I mean, I know we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but why is it so healing? Why do we need it?
Daniel, I truly, truly in my heart feel that we are self-healing, that our bodies are self-healing, and that they reflect our emotional and our mental state of mind. And when something has manifested itself into the physical, no matter what it is, that there is a way that with the inner work, the inner connection, that wonderful progress can be made towards wellness. When I was very young, I'm going to say probably in elementary school, 7 or 8 years old, I saw some pictures in a magazine. The article was about amputees and how they were helping them with the pain. That if somebody, had an amputation on their arm and they didn't have their hand anymore, they would still feel the phantom pain in their hand. And what they would do is they would put little electrical electrodes on either side of the stump, and the person would have a little box that he could dial in the frequency and the intensity, and when he found the right frequency intensity, the pain would go away. And along with that, some of these people were actually starting to grow fingers back out of the stump.
Wow.
And I thought, that struck me so profoundly. This is helping to stimulate, rejuvenate the regenerative process that's inherent already in our body. And that stuck with me, and that was one of the things I said, I want to integrate this into the music. I want to understand how this can be. And without oversimplifying it, when you get into that place of deep harmony, peace, balance, center point, it's incredibly profound, the changes and the shifts that can happen with that 0 point. It's absolutely wonderful.
And how do people get the maximum benefit from listening to your music? What do you recommend?
Well, you know, I've always felt that the more attention you put towards something, you know, the greater the result. So because my music is different, it's created really as a more therapeutic, transformational support. If you can really find yourself in a really quiet, undisturbed place, no phones ringing, no multitasking, no thinking about it. I mean, if you can really, and you'll notice when you look at the package, all of these CDs, there's almost 10 hours of music in these 10 CDs or 10 MP3s. Give yourself that space and time to truly go deeply into the music, set your intent, participate, give yourself permission, go for it, give yourself permission. Now is the time. It truly is now. The energies for awakening, for transformation, for enlightenment, for wealth, health, prosperity, abundance, whatever it is, the windows are opening, the light is streaming in. Give yourself the deepest level of permission to go into it. And when you listen with the music, you'll feel every cell in your body tingling and communicating, and it's an amazing experience. So the more you can give yourself that permission to be in that space, the more you'll receive from it.
So try to not be distracted, right? And
right.
Of course, it doesn't hurt to have a great set of headphones and music.
Headphones are wonderful,
right.
And I'm also a big fan of listening with speakers, because with the speakers you get that low bass resonating. And I'm glad you brought up headphones, because we did a lot of experimenting and research in the early days of, do you have to physically hear it through your ears? And what we did was we played, you know, the specific tones through headphones, and we would just clamp it onto the person's ankle and play it so softly that they couldn't possibly hear it. And we'd actually put earplugs in their ears and pillows over their ears so that they couldn't possibly hear it through the air from the headphones. We sealed the headphones around the ankle so it's just vibrating there, and they still responded the same way. The weak muscle test then became strong. So, and also because, you know, very quickly the blood circulates through your whole body, it brings that information through your whole body very, very, very quickly. So emotionally, I really like to have speakers because it's a visceral experience. You can feel your legs resonate with certain notes. You'll feel it in your chest. You'll feel it in your arms. You'll feel it in your chakras, in your auric fields. And that, to me, really is a whole, full experience. And it's real interesting. A lot of people will write to me and say, you know, I've been listening to this piece of music for, you know, weeks or months or years, and every time I listen to it, it sounds different. Does the music change on the CD, or does it change on the, you know, in the MP3 file? Or in the old days, cassettes. And here's
8 tracks.
Yeah. Well, I am that old, but I wasn't making music back then. I was
not going any farther back.
Not doing this. Oh, I had the 8-track. You bet.
Yeah.
That's good. Because the music I do really is based on resonance and is very engaging. When you listen to it, you'll feel certain notes resonating and vibrating with certain parts of your body, and that can very often bring up certain issues. And once those issues resolve, then those notes don't vibrate with that part of your body anymore, and you don't notice them quite so much, and then something else will get your attention, and your awareness will be drawn to that part of the music. And then once that resolves itself, then you'll be drawn to another part of the music. So every time you listen to it, as things come up and resolve, you're experiencing different parts of the music more aware than other times.
It's kind of like self-editing. It's self-editing based on where you're at.
And that's the beauty of this. This is music that you'll use over and over and over again. It won't be just like, like a pop tune. You like it, you play it for a few weeks or months, and then it goes away. I have letters from massage therapists, and one of the first pieces of music I did was Restive Woman back in 1982. And I got letters from people that say, I got Restive Woman back in 82, 83, and I still play it. 30 years later, it's still a useful, beneficial piece of music. So all the music that's in this package, you'll use over and over and over, year after year after year. Sometimes while you're doing things around the house, it's wonderful when you have friends over for dinner. We play it for our gardens. I get letters from people that one fellow is a truck driver, and his girlfriend got him one of my cassettes back in the early days. We were actually on our way to a massage therapy convention, and she was a waitress at a restaurant my wife and I had stopped at to have lunch or dinner or something, and, told her where we were going, what we were doing. She said, well, let me get one for my boyfriend. He's a truck driver, and you get stuck in traffic, and you get so stressed out. And he actually wrote me a letter. He said, my girlfriend's got me this cassette of yours, and he says, and I play it in the truck, and I don't even care when I get stuck in traffic. I just sit there
I love
and listen
it.
to the music.
Of course.
I got a letter from people that play it for their dairy cows, and they swear that they get much better milk production playing the music.
Reduces the stress. Hey, listen, so you have another piece we can listen to?
Absolutely.
And what's the next one going to be?
Well, we're talking about, the awakening and transformative energies that are so accelerating now. So this piece of music was blessed to do a show on World Puja Network called Music Meditations and Inner Journeys. And this music is from one of those shows called Receiving Higher Frequencies with Grace and Ease.
All right, folks, let's listen to this. Wow, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was, I don't know if it's your music, it's the day, it's the way I feel today, but wow, I just really, really love what you're doing here. And tell us a little bit more about this. What's the title?
This is Receiving Higher Frequencies with Grace and Ease.
With grace and ease, and it sure feels that way.
And Daniel, as you've experienced with each of the music clips, and as you say, I hope the people listening have experienced, and I really feel that you do. So how quickly, in only 3 minutes or 4 minutes, things shift profoundly. Your energy changes. You're more calm and centered and focused and relaxed. And grace and ease, two very, very important words, because this process is about grace and ease. One of my early teachers said to me, Jim, we call this enlightenment, not enheavyment.
So true. I've never heard that.
Isn't it true, though? It's the spiritual quest. We're so programmed to achieve, and you got to get there fast.
Yesterday.
And as we've talked about, you're already there, and this deeply, profoundly helps you remember that you're already there, and it helps you then reclaim that and set your path in motion the way you choose with grace and ease.
So how does your music help people attune? And attune, I guess, is to align themselves with their true self?
Exactly. One of the things that's talked about quite a bit today is, the 5D, which transcends the 3D world. We've got the body, the mind, the spirit, the mental, the emotional, the intuition, the heart. And the heart energy is so important that be welcomed. How do you feel? How do you truly feel about yourself? And your intuition is so powerful and profound. You already know when you get up in the morning, well, what am I going to have for breakfast? Am I going to have oatmeal? I'm going to have eggs? Well, you have your guidance. You're already using that guidance. Will I wear a blue shirt? Will I wear a red shirt? Will I wear a green shirt? Do I want to wear a hat today? Do I want to wear these shoes? You already have that intuition that's guiding you. And we just help take that to another level. To people today are very much wanting to be their own divine beings and to create this buffer from the world that says you've got to do this, you got to do that, you got to buy these clothes, you got to have these toys for your kids, you got to drive this car, and create an image of yourself that may not be really how you feel about yourself. And so this is all about supporting people to their soul purpose, to their divine essence, their true self, and unraveling all those entanglements. And when you listen to the music samples on the show, and then you get the package and you work with it, you'll feel all those entanglements just gently lifting away. And I encourage people as they release those to transmute those energies and release them with the power of truth and love.
So beautifully said. Now, you have one more piece of music for us today, and it's called The Light of Integration. And this music you selected for us today. And you know what I'd like to do? Well, folks, this is Jim's newest recording that he's just completed to help integrate all of the inner work and various self-help tools that humanity is utilizing at this point in time in this whole integration and movement of our globe. Integration is crucial to the mind, body, and spirit to creating the coherence and flow. And he's created this piece of music. And I think what I'd like to do, jump right into it, Jim, and then just talk about it and tell us what it's about.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Thank you.
All right. So let's just take a minute and just listen to this incredible piece of music. Wow, again, what an incredible piece of music. And this one, Jim, I have to tell you, so far, I haven't listened to all your music, but so far is my favorite.
Thank you.
I think you talked a little bit about how, and I'm not a musician, so how you went up and down the scale. And
right.
You start out this song that way, and then it feels like all of a sudden I'm out in orbit somewhere. I love that. And so tell us, what does this particular piece of music mean for those of us on the call?
Thank you, Daniel. As you mentioned, the music starts out with, on the full version that's in the package, starts out with low sustained bass and the memory moog doing this chorusing flute sound that just kind of scintillates and just gently weaves musical pulsing and nurturing flow. And then the piano arpeggios come in to start to help move energy and loosen up any areas where you might be experiencing restriction. And then the orchestral strings in beautiful choirs. That's the beauty of being able to play music today is, you know, in the old days you had piano and organ, and then there was synthesizers which kind of synthesized sounds. Now we have what are called digital samplers that actually, when I play a note on the keyboard, I'm actually playing a real flute sound, a real cello, a real human voice singing an ooh or an ah, real orchestral strings, violins and violas, and the bells are sparkling and crystal clear. And having that at my fingertips in the studio, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing how these sounds, which we then can identify with certain aspects of what's going on in our life, these sounds that are intended to help nurture and support us, and the all-important integrate. As you mentioned, so many people are doing these wonderful telesummits and listening to incredible information coming from speakers who have so much wonderful things to share. But unless we can integrate that into our daily lives, it's not as useful to us.
It's just
knowledge.
Get
the benefit. It's just knowledge. It has to be experience. And that's why I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be on this call. One of the many reasons is to play these clips of music and to offer a package of music. This provides you with a direct experience and an integration of all the information and a direct experience of yourself. And to me,
now, Jim, you've been sharing throughout the call some of the amazing turnarounds that people have had by listening to your music. Do you have any other really big ones that you'd like to share with us at this point?
Well, we've done probably 1,000 sessions over the years, and we've worked with people with diabetes and brain tumors and a variety of cancers, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy. We worked with a fellow that was in a coma and brought him into the studio by ambulance on a gurney, and during the course of the session he came out of his coma, and that just gives me goosebumps to think that a great movie about Oliver Sacksworth called Awakenings. And that just got me going. Music is so deep and profound. Even a person that was in a coma still had some conscious connection that then reopened. And I said, I want to dedicate my life to helping people help themselves through music, to offer tools that help people. So whatever it is you're working with, in a way, it's all the same kind of a thing, whether it's prosperity, abundance, relationship, jobs, or a physical ailment. It's a dis-ease, a disharmony. There's some distress, distortion, disconnection. And obviously, if you've got a medical problem going on and you're working with a doctor, you want to maintain that. But
yes, please do.
But the music is a supplement to that.
There you go.
It helps to support in a parallel manner and perhaps bring you to a much more profound level. And that's what it's about, is supporting the person in their own process.
I love that. So, Jim, I get really excited about, people taking control of their life, and really excited about the music. And you've been talking about this incredible opportunity that you have for people to really connect with you through music, through your music. And so, folks, right now I want you to go to www.awakeningtoabundance.com/sound. That's SOUND. Okay, so now tell us what magical music you have there for us, Jim.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. We very carefully thought about how we could put together a 10 CD or a 10 MP3 collection for people. And for this program, we're offering the MP3s. Receiving higher frequencies with grace and ease is number one. And this is from a program from the World Puja Network that I did called Music Meditations and Inner Journeys. There's a 12 or 13-minute music piece with no voice. Then there's a 23 or 4-minute piece where I did a very soft guided meditation, words of encouragement and nurturing, spoken very softly and just very infrequently, placed throughout that piece. So on that CD or on the MP3 file, you have the 12-minute, you have the 25-minute music only, and then you have the 25-minute with the voice. Same with number 2, resonating with your divine essence. You get the music for 12 minutes, another piece for 25 minutes, and then the guided meditation for 25 minutes. Number 3 are the soundtracks from videos, Essence, Starfield, and The Mystery of Love. And the response has just been really wonderful with that. Number 4 is the Light of Integration, which you just experienced a piece of that. It's about 46, 47 minutes long, and really helps you deeply go into whatever area it is you're working with. The next one is Crystal Star and Santa Fe Moonrise, 2 really beautiful pieces of music that I did music for a video called Crystal Star, and that piece it's majestic, it's rejuvenating, it's triumphant. It really brings forth the energy of a joyous heart. And Santa Fe Moonrise has that wonderful, mysterious Santa Fe quality to it.
Got to be good. I want to hear that one.
Yeah. And then we have In Touch, which is 4 beautiful pieces that's done on grand piano. And the violinist who played with me, L.P. Howe, just an absolute marvelous player. He plays also with the Santa Fe Opera Orchestra, and he plays with a world-renowned chamber music group by the name of Orpheus. And in fact, the Saturday night before LP was in the studio doing the tracks, that Saturday night he came in on a Monday morning, and that Saturday night before he was at Carnegie Hall performing with Orpheus. So
wow.
His musicianship is so exquisite, truly a gift. And there's also guitar, and I call it atmospheric percussion, wind chimes and little sweeps, and a gorgeous, gorgeous record. Then we have Sleepy Angels, which is something that I created especially for children. So many children have trouble focusing. There's so much distraction in the world, and the children just really need some nurturing and support for themselves. And music that relates to young children is very different than music that relates to adults. As adults, we want things with a little more complexity, with a little more depth and evolution to it. And children have not gotten to the point to where they can process things that are so complex. So Sleepy Angels is light and gentle. It's the energy of rocking a newborn baby in your arms. It's so delicate. And what we've also received so many letters from people who would also play Sleepy Angels when their loved ones were making their transition. It's that soft and nurturing that it's really wonderful at that also, the cycle of life, the other end of it. Next is Gazing Within, which, as I mentioned, Kenji Kamara was in the studio when we did Gazing Within, and has wonderful quantum light to it. Then the last two titles is Healing Harmonies, and that is two 60-minute titles. And again, each of these CDs is almost an hour long, or each of these MP3 titles is almost an hour long. So there's just about 10 hours of music in this collection. And with Healing Harmonies, we have foreground and background. And interestingly, what I've found is that when you have music playing in the background, it actually has to be a little bit busier, a little bit more movement to it, or it gets kind of lost as a drone, like what is that going on back there? So the foreground piece is much quieter and softer, and the background piece actually has a little bit more movement to it. And it's wonderful for playing around the house when you're doing house cleaning, if you're doing dishes, if you're cooking. It's wonderful if you have your own creative outlets of art or sculpture, painting, writing.
And what was the name of that one?
And that one is Healing Harmonies.
What are some of the benefits, Jim, that people can get from this? Besides creativity, what we were just talking about.
Well, it helps to free up energy. And I'll just share two quick stories with you of how in my life, how music has helped to free up energy and attract flow. One of the neatest things was back in the early 80s or mid-80s, received a phone call, and I always share with people, life will happen. All you have to do is show up. Stand with the innocence of a child. Just show up and be open. So I get a phone call from a lady who's producing a TV show and said, it's Life in the Stress Lane. We really want to have a musician who's worked with music and massage. And so they came out, and my wife and I were actually in the show. And my wife said, ask them if you can score the rest of the show. And I said, well, usually they use production music. But I asked, and they said, well, okay, we'll think about it. They called me up. I ended up scoring the show. They said, Jim, this came out fantastic. You should enter it in the Emmys.
I love it.
And I said, you got to be kidding. It was actually the very first TV show I ever scored.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And so I entered it in the Emmys and just totally, truly forgot about it. Then one night, the kids were kind of fussy, and Jan and I were up really late, and we just got them put back to bed, and we were sitting waiting to see if they fell back asleep, and the phone rang at, 12:30 in the morning. And I just looked at Jan, and I said, I won the Emmy. She goes, you did. And I picked up the phone, and it was the gal from WFTV, the ABC affiliate station. She said, Jim, you won the Emmy. So there's an example. I got invited to be a composer in residence at Sundance Institute with Robert Redford, music for music and ballet. And it was just, doing what you love and being open to receiving. And then most recently, I think many people who are listening are familiar with the fellow from Croatia, whose name is Bratzo. And he does the gazing sessions. And just to show the cycle, we went to go see him 2.5 years ago in Sedona. Afterwards, I went up to the lady who was had put on the event, and I introduced myself, and I said, I just want to thank you so much for doing this. My name's Jim Oliver. I'm from Santa Fe. And she said, Jim Oliver. She gave me this huge hug. She says, you probably don't remember me. I was in your studio 25 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
You did some music for me for a special thing. And she said, and it just worked out beautifully. And she said, well, if we ever come out your way, and we'd love to have you play some music. A year later, I get a phone call. We're coming to Albuquerque. Would you like to play?
I love it.
I got to play. Yeah. And then a year later, which was about 3 weeks ago, I got an email that read, Bratzo has been invited to do a special event at the United Nations, and we would be pleased if you would come and join us and play music for this special event at the UN. So 3 weeks ago, I was at the United Nations at the church center playing for gazing sessions with Brazzo, and then played for 2 more days at the New Yorker Hotel. And those are the kinds of things that if you really, stand with the innocence of a child, Jan and I just say, okay, we're here, we want to be of service, please put us to use, let us use our gifts, and music is my gift. And I'm so grateful to be able to share it. So
thank you so much.
Those are 3 little ways.
Any final comments before we go, Jim?
Oh, I would just say thank you so much to everyone for staying on the call and listening and letting me share my love of music, and allow yourself to receive the music fully. Allow yourself to receive yourself fully. That's what it's all about. It's about you and who you are and your true self, and I'm so grateful to be able to offer the music as a way for people to experience that for themselves.
I love it. I love it. So, folks, make sure you go to www.awakeningtoabundance.com/sound, and that's SOUND. Jim, thank you so very much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I look forward to our next call together.
I appreciate you too, Daniel. Thank you. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of the year and on into the future.